Love and Watches is a podcast for male and female watch lovers alike. Perpetual Girl and Ranch Racer are a watch-crazy wife and husband team bringing you the latest in news, gossip, controversy, and anything else that matters in the world of watches. We hope you enjoy the show.
Hey, watch fam, this is Ranch Racer.
And Perpetual Girl.
And you guys are listening to episode 14 of the Love and Watches podcast. Welcome aboard. We're a lot late this time, but we have a really good reason for it. We are recording from the brand new Love and Watches studios here in Auburn, California. Actually, it's just a different room in the house.
It's actually my craft room.
Yeah, but it's working out better than my office because we actually can sit here and face each other. It's a lot easier to carry on a conversation and still have the mics where we need them and stuff.
It was a bit of a battle to agree to, for me to let you fill my craft space.
I won.
With equipment.
I won. Obviously, I won. I won that battle. But I already know I'm going to lose the war, so... if I can win a battle here and there.
You said it, not me.
That's a positive for us guys, right? If we can win one or two battles, man, that's a big win. So yeah, we moved the recording studio down the hall, and it's just a better setup, I think.
And the
overall.
craft room is a little tidier now, so.
Yeah, it's more roomy in here, and it's just I think it's going to work out well. I'm pretty happy with it. So yeah, we're a little bit late, but it was some work to get rooms cleaned and equipment moved and all that fun stuff. And anyway, we're here. So we got episode 14 for you guys. What are we talking about today?
Looks like a couple of unusual topics.
Yeah, I guess we're going to talk a little bit about related industries and then buying and selling watches, which is actually really timely. What, you want to give me a cheers?
We're actually having a little glass of wine.
There we go.
Tonight.
So yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about buying and selling, which is pretty timely because we're starting to sell some watches, which it's not normally what we do, but we'll kind of explain why and talk about how to buy and sell, and at least our experience, reasons and where you can sell and good places to buy watches. So a little bit of everything. Boy, it is sure still smoky outside. Man, these fires are
It's been pretty bad, and we feel really horrible for everybody up there.
Yeah, it's not been good.
In the northern, they're about 60 miles from us, where things are just devastated. So
yeah, and actually, to maybe help clear things up I know a lot of people, I've seen some comments on Instagram and stuff. Paradise, California is a city. They're not saying that Paradise is burning down as a as a colloquialism. Paradise is actually a city up north by Redding and a little south of Redding in Chico, where Dialed Watch Company is actually out of Chico. They do some pretty cool automotive.
And Watchman Chico has a store there.
Oh, that's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but yeah, the smoke. I mean, it's just blanketing all of California, and it's not been fun. It's actually, I noticed today the temperatures. It's freaking cold out there because the sun has been blocked out.
It's been so in smoky. The low 40s. It's been colder here, but
the sun has been completely blocked out for like the last 3 days with the smoke. I was in the office yesterday, and the smoke was coming into the building. But people were leaving. They're like, "We're getting out of here. This is crazy." Yeah. So,
and we get smoke every summer up here. No matter what fire is going on. It's become a regular thing the last few years, but this has been the worst.
Yeah, for sure.
And very consistently bad for many, many, many days. So all of our animals are suffering, and we've got all the small animals are locked up in their little barn with an air filter, which is
tiny little lungs,
which is more than a lot of these poor. I feel bad for the big animals that we've got, the cows and across the way, and
our donkeys and horses. I mean,
they're elderly. Most of our large animals are elderly. Yeah.
They can't escape it. We can't put them inside somewhere.
They'd like to come inside. The donkeys would.
I'm sure they would. They'd like to sit on your lap. But anyway, so yeah, it's been tough, and we just want to send our best wishes and our prayers to everyone that's having to live through that fire. And
it's the largest fire
terrible.
in recorded history in the state.
Yeah, it's
and I
pretty
think
bad.
at least 50 people have died, and it's just, I just get upset reading the news.
It's terrible. And this one, it looks like this one may have been started by an electrical problem and on the power grid, and we've had several of those in the last few years. So we've got an old power grid.
We're overgrown here now.
Forests are really, really overgrown, and unfortunately, what happens is you don't do any kind of forestry, even responsible conservation forestry, and then, all these
dry
animals
areas
and all these habitats you were trying to protect, they're decimated. They're gone. I mean, it's just really sad to see.
It's hard.
So.
There's a lot of different sides to all of it, of course, but
yeah,
it all boils down to when it's dry and you don't have rain, and you've got a lot of dry brush, extra brush. It's gonna, you're more at risk.
Yeah, and the thing is, so a lot of the press talk about how drought-stricken California is burning, and the fact of the matter is we're out of a drought. I mean, we had 2 really heavy winters, which
Lots
means
of
everything
growth.
we
Lots
get a
of
lot
growth.
of growth, and then over the summer it gets hot and dries out, and
We don't
winter
clear it.
is late this year. We had one rain in like the first couple days in October and nothing since. So combine that with late season winds, and it's just a really bad recipe. So
Unfortunately, it's a reality up here.
it is. So I don't want to be a downer, but we just wanted to send our best wishes to everyone up there, and hope they get this thing contained. And we're all tired of the smoke too, but that's minor compared to what they're having
Right.
to deal with. So anywho, should we jump into the wrist checks?
Sure.
All right, go for it.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
I have on today a watch that Ranch Racer gave me as a surprise. It's a Timex Marlin
It is.
Snoopy,
Yeah.
Flying
This
Ace
is
Snoopy.
the one they announced a couple weeks ago.
And I actually I put it on the new Erica's Original Band special edition that she released. It's a blue, like a denim blue. Because the black band that came with the watch is actually really pretty, but it's so huge that
It's too long for
the
you.
tail actually pretty much touches the watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this one fits perfectly. I have to adjust it a little bit, but I really like her bands. A traditional NATO, they don't work on me. If you have small wrists, a NATO is really tough. Really, really tough. And this is different because it's elastic.
Right.
So it forms to you and it's thinner. So I find that this is kind of the only NATO-ish style that works on me personally as far as comfort.
They're really neat. They're so unique, and
They
high
are.
quality, really, really high quality. I love
Really
their work.
comfortable. So that's what it is. And this Marlin is automatic Miyota movement, and
Yep.
it's got some loom on the hands. I haven't tested it at night yet because I just got it today.
40 millimeter.
But it's 40 and has a silver dial. It's really nice. I mean, it's really pretty. It's got kind of the sunburst. I think it's going to be something that I can wear with a lot of different things, especially casual.
And it doesn't have crazy long lugs, so it fits smaller wrists as well.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think, and that'll be one that I'll wear that for sure. It's really neat looking. Nice silver, pretty silver. Is it kind of a sunray or sunburst dial?
A little bit. And I had originally thought it was a white dial, and it's silver. It's really nice.
What talk about the indexes and the dial and stuff?
It looks like they're applied indices, and they're just stick indices, which makes it really simple. And it kind of reminds me of the old-fashioned Timex.
Yeah, well, that's the whole point of the Marlin, right? It's basically a re-release
Yeah.
of the original Timex Marlin. Now, obviously, this one's bigger. Last year's release was a 36, either 36 or 34, and that was the manual mechanical wind. It was a big hit. I think a lot of folks kind of panned it for having a Chinese movement, but we've got some watches with Chinese movements, and they're fine.
The
and,
seagulls.
yeah, I think it has seagull.
So far, so good.
But this is a Miyota, so I think they probably, listened to the consumers and decided that they were going to go with a Japanese Miyota movement. So very cool.
It's got an exhibition back, which is awesome, and it's got the printing on it. It says, the Marlin series. And
Right. I think that would be a good, if you were going to buy a present for someone who's not into watches, but likes
Snoopy.
Peanuts, right? I think that'd be a great choice for sure, because they get the sapphire case back, which we've talked about. That's, for someone just getting into watches, it's so cool to be able to look at the movement. It doesn't, at the end of the day, who cares if it's not super highly decorated and all the fancy stuff.
Even if you're into watches, whether you are or aren't, I love the visual case pack.
Oh yeah, totally. But I just think, for the price and the, you're getting a little fun with it, right? You're getting Snoopy, which is always cool. And I wish they would have done the arms for the hands, because they've got another series that has Peanuts with their arms or the actual hour and minute hands, but they're
the
quartz.
Baseball player.
Yeah, like the baseball player and stuff, but they're quartz. I would have loved to have seen this one, but it's classy too. Yeah. So it's just
this
a different
one's
look.
more. You could almost wear it as a dress watch with the original black.
Yeah, it's a little more classy,
and it's subdued because Snoopy's at the bottom at 6:00, and he's really he's pretty small, so it's not in your face cartoony.
It looks great with that strap too. That kind of reminds me when I had the blue Haveston canvas on my Seiko Presage, the cocktail time. Same kind of look, the silvery dial with
kind of a
blue
denim
band.
look, more casual.
Yeah, I think it looks good.
I like it.
Cool. So you're digging it?
I do. I like it. Super cute.
Yeah, it's fun.
And it's a large enough size that you could share.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'll wear it for sure. And these Erica's Originals that we ordered, because we've bought some of her straps before.
Oh yeah, tell everybody
where
about
we
that.
bought. When you order a strap from Erica's Originals, she actually sizes them to your wrist size. So you need to put your wrist size in when you're ordering. And I think my wrist size is 7.5. You're about a 6.5. So whatever we had ordered before, we ordered right in the middle. So these should fit, but they actually do fit both of us, because I've got one on the
I think
wrist
my
right
other
now.
one is a little bit more comfortable, but this is new and it needs to be
broken in a little bit. But yeah, I love the straps. They're really cool.
Nice. All right. So what are you wearing today?
So I am wearing...
As if I haven't seen it all day.
Well, so I wasn't wearing this all day, but this is one I think I've probably had it on for shows before. This is the watch that I bought when we were in Vegas last year for Couture Time, when you bought
this year.
Yeah, or this year, earlier this year, you bought your Cartier Santos, and I bought this, and this is the Oris Carl Brashear bronze chronograph. The thing with this watch is, so number one, I've said before, I'm not really a bronze guy, only because of the fact that I don't really like patina. I like my watches to look shiny and new. So it was kind of, I was surprised that I ended up buying this thing. I just saw it.
It's not that you don't
so cool.
appreciate patina.
Hey, patina is
it's just
not my
your
thing, but I know a lot of people love it. So, and that's why they buy bronze. I just love the look of fresh, shiny bronze. It's beautiful.
It's pretty.
So I bought this thing, and in the first month, it stopped functioning. The reset on the chronograph broke. So it sat in the watch box. I didn't really wear it. And then when I went back to Vegas for my company sales conference, that was I think it was August. Wasn't it August? Mm-hmm. So I went back in August because I had bought it at a store in Vegas. So I took it back to that store, and they sent it back east to Oris.
They were awesome.
Yeah, the store is great, and I'm going to talk about them actually today in our
it's time to put the chickens away.
Oh, it's the chicken alarm.
Sorry about
nice. That's the put the chickens away alarm. Okay, mute your phone.
Yeah. Right. Well, that was the alarm. It goes off.
It goes off anyway.
The chickens, you have to make sure they're all good. And they've been put away.
The chickens put themselves to bed. So anyway, back to the topic. So yeah, I took it back to the store. They sent it to Oris. It was gone for a while, probably 2.5 months. Got it back a couple weeks ago, and am kind of I'm reestablishing my relationship with the watch. So it's kind of like a second honeymoon, because I never really got to have the first honeymoon with the watch. Because
you kind of broke up with it?
A proper honeymoon, because...
It broke up with you.
It broke up with me, right? The watch broke up with me, left for a while, but now it's back. And I'm really, really enjoying it. I did when I got it back. They didn't clean it right. I don't think
they wanted to respect.
I don't
the
think
patina.
any manufacturer would dare clean a bronze watch
Correct.
that was in for.
It's like an antique. You don't ever clean or refinish wood on an antique piece.
Well, and you don't polish a Rolex unless the person asks you to polish it. It's kind of the same thing, right? So the patina on a bronze watch, a lot of wearers work really hard to get that perfect patina. Some guys even like actually do stuff to it to patina it faster, like acid mixes and Coca-Cola.
Well, I
and all
suppose
kinds
it
of
would
stuff.
be like a horse saddle where if someone has a specific mark on it from a spur or something that was like a really significant event that you want to preserve forever. Yeah. Like don't ever clean up anybody's stuff.
Yeah. So anyway, this thing came back. It still had all the patina on it. And the first thing I did was pull out the Tarnex and clean it up.
And you cleaned some of my jewelry too, which was really nice.
I did. And honestly, I'd never, used this stuff. I'd never cleaned a bronze watch. Yeah, it was about 30 seconds. It's really fast. It's just a Q-tip and it comes right off.
Silver cleaner.
Yeah, and it came right off. It looks beautiful. And we live in a pretty dry climate, so I'm not going to have to clean it every week. I mean, it's probably every couple of months I'll take some Tarnex to it.
No, you were very delicate with it.
Yeah, and it just doesn't tarnish fast where we are because we don't have a lot of moisture in the air, and you need the moisture. So anyway, I've been wearing it quite a bit. A lot of posting on Instagram. Really glad that you guys like it. I know a lot of you have commented, and I appreciate that. I am also wearing it on an Erica's Originals. So it comes with a pretty thick brown leather strap.
It's a beautiful leather strap with
very nice.
It's
very nice.
Like an open raw edge.
Yep. Kind of vintagey, I guess, looking. But for me, it just didn't really go with the character of the watch.
See, I have to kind of disagree with you because I really, really like that band.
Do you?
I do.
It's nice. Just for me, for whatever reason, it just didn't quite feel right. And so I had that blue Haveston canvas, and it's a perfect match for this blue dial. I absolutely love it. So I've been wearing it on the blue Haveston since I got it back. And then literally today, about, I don't know, an hour ago when I went up and got the mail, we had received these Erica's Originals, and I bought all three of her limited editions. So she has an orange, a brown, and a light blue. So I bought all three of them. They're all 20 millimeter only. And I threw the brown on here, and I really like it. I know you have some issues with the
casualness
center
and the center stripe
because these are pretty casual.
I love
sporty.
the band and I love the watch, but I'm not sure it's a match. But that's just me.
I would agree that I think it would be better without the white stripe, but that's not how these are. These are all have the white stripe.
My Snoopy Timex looks amazing with the stripe because the silver dial.
Yeah, because it kind of goes with the silver dial.
Yeah,
whereas
because the center stripe actually looks silver.
I mean, there's some white on the dial. All the indices are white. The non-loomed indices are white. The subdials, all the markings on the subdials are white. The Oris text is white. So there's definitely some white on here. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's a total mismatch, but yeah, it would probably look better without the stripe, but I still like it. And I just love these straps. They're so darn comfortable. Mm-hmm. Man, they're comfortable.
And there's something about that watch. The bronze, I really like the bronze. I'm not a rose gold person. And bronze...
And it's very similar to rose gold.
But it's not the same.
It's not.
It's not the same to me. Like the bronze really looks like a solid... Like to me, rose gold looks like there's color added to it. Mm. Bronze to me looks like an actual solid precious metal.
There's more of some element in the rose gold, right? That turns it that color. I don't know.
Copper.
Is it copper?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's more of a copper.
So I'd almost like to see someone come up with a copper watch, except it'd tarnish like a penny.
Yeah.
Unless you kept Tarnex on it all the time. So
yeah. Does it tarnish faster than bronze?
I think so.
Statue of Liberty is bronze, right? And that ended up being green, totally tarnished. And a lot of guys like that. I mean, I see some of these bronze watches that get posted on Instagram, and they literally have like the green, like
chunks of corrosion on them.
Yeah, like it looks like they just lifted them up from a shipwreck.
Mm-hmm. Which with a dive watch, hey, it could be. It's kind of a romantic. It's a romantic notion. I think.
Yep. It's just not my thing. But it's easy.
I respect it,
the cool thing is it's easy to clean. I totally respect it if
although corrosion, could it pit it?
No, I don't think it's just surface. That's why Tarnex works so good. And you can even use like some guys just use toothpaste to clean it, and that takes it off.
Toothpaste is abrasive, though. Yeah, I don't know
It
that
is,
you really want
whereas
to do
the
that.
Tarnex is not abrasive, so yeah.
I mean, we already had someone mention that the white magic eraser sponges are slightly abrasive, and I know toothpaste is way more abrasive.
Well, I think they might use more of like the non-abrasive toothpaste, but in any case, it is still abrasive, and the Tarnex is cheap. And it's I think I got 2 things of it. And I probably could have got one, and it would have lasted me my whole life. You got to be very sparingly
with it and make sure you rinse it off, because, like with silver, you don't want to use the silver cleaner, which is basically what Tarnex is.
Right.
You want to use a polishing cloth, and then in really, extreme cases, use your Tarnex, because it's so strong.
Well, and you can even you can smell it. You can.
Oh, yeah.
It's like paint thinner basically. But like I just have the water. I had the water running. I had a Q-tip. I like literally dipped it in. I do like a lug and a section of the bezel, and then rinse, and then dip again. And I just kept doing that, and it literally was 30 seconds to a minute to clean the entire watch.
Really careful.
It was super fast. And I don't think there's anything. It's the case is solid bronze, so it's not like it's going to take off a top layer or something.
Right.
But yeah, anyway, so that's my wrist check. I've really been enjoying this Oris quite a bit. It was, it's one of those things. I was so bummed that we had the issue with it so early on, right?
But they fixed it. They fixed it.
Right. And so when it first happened, I'm like, oh man, I'm kind of down on Oris. And we really want to love Oris, right? And I think...
Well, I love the 36, the bronze that we saw at Couture Time.
The big date, the pointer date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ladies...
And they just
released... not so much ladies, but it was a 36 millimeter.
It's a 36 and with a green dial. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. And they just released a 40 millimeter version today.
Matching.
And they're calling it the 80th anniversary of the...
Oh boy.
The big
that could
date.
be his and hers.
Or the big pointer or
maybe,
whatever
Maybe I like the bronze so much because it's more orange than pink. I don't know. It just looks more like a solid metal to me.
I agree. I mean, I'm not a huge rose gold guy. I like it in some cases. I love it on the Rolex, the new Rolex GMT Master 2.
Brown dial.
The two-tone, I think it's really works there. But in most cases, I don't like it. The bronze, for some reason, when I finally saw this in the flesh, in the metal, I fell for it. It's just, it's really a neat looking material. And, like I said, I just keep it clean. And I think I'm going to enjoy this watch for a long time. It's not one I don't think I'm going to consider selling, which is one of our topics today. But so anyway, I think that's probably it for the wrist checks. I'm just looking at our time here. Okay, so why don't we jump into the first topic? This first topic's kind of interesting. As you can hear the wine being poured.
We were kind of joking around the other day about.
And by the way, yes, you do hear a screw top on that.
We actually live on the wine trail, which is sort of funny.
Yeah.
Because we're not big wine drinkers, but today we're having a decent wine that has a screw top. But
nothing wrong with
having grown up in California, we've been exposed to the wine industry, and we've been exposed to people coming in from other areas of the United States and educating themselves. And I think there's a lot of similarities between watch. I mean, it's just like any other hobby. You've got,
this actually came up. Yeah. This came up because of a conversation we had with someone else.
We did. And just some common industries.
Yeah. And
I've talked about this before, where I find that some watch fans are similar to wine fans, I guess you could say, where some people only like certain wines, or they only like certain colors of wines. Like I've had some people tell me, I only drink red wine,
or I only wear Swiss watches,
or I don't wear quartzes, or
right. There's
I only like this red kind of wine, and
like
white wine is subpar. And even though, I mean, living in California and growing up around it with relatives in the wine country, it's actually harder to make a white wine than it is to make a red wine. So
quite a bit.
We kind of giggle a little bit when people say that, and we're not mean, but it's just something we've grown up around.
Yeah.
So I see a lot of similarities and it's just like any other hobby. You've got some people who like certain things, and they they won't accept parts of that industry as legitimate.
So if you look at, let's look at the parallels. So you look at the watch industry over time, right? Watches used to be a necessity. You wore them because you needed to tell the time. If you look at, let's take Rolex as an example. Back in the day, you'd have guys in the military, they were overseas, they'd go to the PX, they'd buy a Rolex before they came home.
The BX or the PX.
Whatever it's called. It was a tool watch, right? And they bought it, and some of them still have them now, but as the industry has changed, we don't need it anymore. It's become a luxury. So you get two sides to the watch industry. You get and I'll just say it, you get the snobby Swiss side, and then you get the other side, which is micro brands and Japanese brands.
Right, but there are some affordable Swiss brands.
Totally get it.
Yeah,
it's just
there's a range.
It's the perception of the stuffy, unwilling to change Swiss watch industry, right? And then you've got the other side, which is people that just love watches. They just, you got guys that'll collect 50 Seikos, right? And hate Rolex. So you've kind of got this love-hate thing in the
someone who
watch
hates
industry.
Invicta or, other small brands that are cheap.
Yeah. And so we see the same in the wine industry, right? And it's the wine industry. So, and I'll tell you guys, I've been in California my entire life. Born here, grew up here. I'm getting old here. And we have a cousin that lives in a town called St. Helena, which is literally that's in the heart of Napa Valley and the heart of wine country.
Multiple cousins, yeah.
Right. And when I was younger, I mean, it was just a little podunk country town. And my cousin and I would walk around the streets. We'd go to the drugstore and buy gum, and we'd go to the old movie theater, and it was 25 cents to see a movie or 50 cents or whatever it was.
You'd sit on the roof and watch people walk by on Main Street.
Yeah, it was not, it was just your typical small town, and locals in the area here in the San Francisco Bay Area would come and do some wine tasting. The wine tasting was all free.
Mm-hmm. Right? I grew up, my folks took us to Sonoma for weekend trips because it was a close drive.
Yeah.
And we'd bring carrots for the donkeys and horses that were there at some of these teeny tiny wineries that don't even exist anymore. And you didn't have to pay for tasting. You'd go in and buy a bottle of wine, and my mom would bring a picnic lunch, and it was really fun. And it was a really fun time.
It was a friendly atmosphere, and it was mostly family-owned vineyards and family-owned wineries, and now you go to St. Helena or Napa it is,
or even Sonoma.
It is like high-end, artsy, I don't know, hoity-toity. It's not my thing.
Very hoity-toity.
Right? I mean, it's become that kind of Switzerland, I guess, of the wine industry. But then you come here, like we live in a little town called Auburn. We live on the Gold Country Wine Trail. We have several wineries up here.
More than several.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of wineries up here, and it's we've got one right across the street. And you go to Napa or Sonoma, it's crazy. Everything's super expensive. You don't taste wine for free. They charge you for everything. Whereas here, it's kind of like Napa and Sonoma used to be 40 years, 30, 40 years ago.
I think if you buy a bottle across the street, they don't charge you a fee.
Well, and most wineries around here won't charge you a fee at all. You just go in, you taste. If you buy a bottle, great. If you don't, that means that means they haven't done their job, and they have to improve their wine to get people to buy it, right? They want to earn your business, and that's not the feeling that you get anymore when you go to Napa Valley. I mean, that is the, like I said, it's kind of the Switzerland of the wine industry. And so it's a little bit of a bummer, but there's a lot of great places that you can go, taste great wine, amazing wine.
All up and down our
really
corridor
amazing
here,
wine.
From
Central Valley.
From our area all the way down through Lodi and...
Yep. Kind of out in the middle of what used to be just, food farming.
Well, it was orchard, yeah.
It was food farming, and there's a lot of wine down there, but it's good. It's very, 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 very good wine. I mean, fantastic wine. But there's a lot of people out there that'll say, "Oh, if it's not Napa Valley, then it's junk. I'm not going to drink it." And it's just, unfortunately, that's just a lack of knowledge, and
they need to be more
it's too
open-minded.
bad. You got to be open-minded, right? Like we always talk about in the watch world, be open-minded. Don't care what other people think. Buy what you love what you buy. Of course, if you don't love it after you buy it, sell it, which we're going to talk about next. But anyway, so it was just an interesting conversation we had.
Like,
and
love what you buy what you love. Like we have some favorites of some high-end wines that are like Carneros Chardonnays. And then we've got like,
by the way, Carneros is a region.
It is in Napa Valley. However, I'm a big fan of the box wine because you can take it on a boat and you can carry it with you and you can throw some ice cubes in it. So I'm sure a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, this person is so unclassy, but there's a time and a place for everything.
Well, we own $20 quartz watches and we own Rolexes that cost several $1,000s, right? And we're the same in whatever, whether it's wine or watches or cars or whatever. I mean,
there's a range.
You should just appreciate it all. Like it all. Don't, I guess my thing is I hate it when people are judgmental of other people because if someone doesn't do or agree with them in terms of what's good in the watch industry or what's good in the wine industry, then it's not right. It's like, well, it's not right for me.
It's just like everything.
Yeah. So it's
like anything.
Anyway, we just thought that was kind of interesting because there are a lot of parallels. And actually the automotive industry is another good one that I think could kind of be compared to watches in certain ways.
That would be a big discussion.
It would be. But I think the wine is really close. Even the beer industry now. I mean, there's a lot of
microbreweries up here now.
And everything. And,
our climate is really good for beer up here.
And I love a good craft brew, but if it's hot out and I'm working, Coors Light's awesome. That's great. Whatever. Just depends on my mood. And, so I guess that's kind of a good parallel too. But anyway, so we thought that was something worth talking about. So we'd like to hear from you guys. Let us know what you think. Are we totally off base? Is it similar?
Will you hate me for drinking box wine?
Yeah, don't hate us for drinking box wine. So yeah, anyway, just interested to hear what you guys think. So we thought that was kind of
It's not like I'm going to turn down a glass of Dom Perignon either.
That's champagne, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just checking. I've never had it, so.
But there's lots of good wines out there in many ranges. There's lots of great watches.
Yep.
I think it's a really interesting comparison.
Yeah, I do too. All right, I think that's enough of the wine topic. Let's keep drinking our wine and go on to buying and selling.
Buying and selling.
Well, and like I said, it's timely, right? Because we've said before that we buy watches, we don't sell watches, but we've gotten to a point in our collection where we just can't bring more in, right?
We're finding that we can't wear them all.
You can't wear them all. It's hard to store them all. It's expensive to have money tied up in watches you're not wearing. It's expensive. So we've recently started selling, and you just sold your first piece, mm-hmm. which was
the Christopher Ward.
Yeah, you had the Trident GMT, and
I found that initially I wore it, and I found that as time went on, I have several pieces that I'm not wearing very much.
Yeah,
I keep them locked in my safe, and I'm not wearing. And I'm thinking, it's kind of a shame that I'm not wearing them.
They're not being enjoyed by someone, right?
So, and depending on your lifestyle, your wardrobe, and what your it just wasn't, some of these pieces that I have just aren't getting used.
Right.
So we're looking at, possibly selling some pieces so that we can purchase other more wearable pieces based on our lifestyle.
Well, and that brings up a great point. So
because what you love versus what is really going to wear, what you're really going to wear, it's two different things, right?
Exactly. And there's different reasons for selling, whether it's just not getting worn and it doesn't make sense to have it sitting there, or you want to upgrade to a more expensive piece by selling, several less expensive pieces. That's a big reason. A lot of people will do that. They'll, they build up a collection and then they've got this grail. So they sell off, a portion of the collection to buy the grail watch. So that's a very popular reason for selling watches. Mm-hmm. but also downgrading. So that's actually something that we're talking about, is maybe selling one watch and buying a couple of less expensive watches.
Matching watches.
Maybe matching, who knows, but that's another, and you probably don't hear that reasoning that often. I hear more that people sell several watches to upgrade to more expensive watches, and they keep kind of doing that and getting to that, Patek or whatever it is that is their ultimate holy grail. We don't really have that. I mean, I don't have any like super high-end watches that I'm really shooting for. But we do have some that we've spent a decent amount of money on that don't get worn very often, that we're kicking the idea around of selling and then getting a couple. Like we've got one that we share that we spent quite a bit of money on, and we're thinking about selling it and getting 2 separate watches, one for each of us. So
that are a more subdued style, so that we can wear it with more everyday things. Like the one watch that we want to sell, I can't really wear with a pair of sweats.
And I can't wear it like when I go to customers or coworkers. I don't feel comfortable wearing it around. And even if I'm just wearing it kind of out in public, I don't.
And it may
really
be
not me. It's beautiful, but it's just not me.
Right. It's just not a match with our personality and with our interests, which it's just kind of unusual to say that, because it is a beautiful,
and we
some
both
of the watches
wanted
that
it. I mean, it is gorgeous.
Okay. What are we going to tell them which watch it is?
So sure.
Okay. So it's the Submariner two-tone, which is a gorgeous, gorgeous watch, but it's pretty specific feel to it, where
there's no mistaking it for anything else.
It's pretty obvious that it's a Rolex.
Out there on the end of your wrist, I'm wearing a Rolex type of watch, which, for some people that's great. What did you say? What did you say I look like today?
Like a really rich golfer.
I'm not rich.
And he doesn't golf.
And I don't golf. So maybe like this watch doesn't fit me.
And you don't really want to look like something you're not.
Well, and I tried. So when we first bought it, I felt really uncomfortable with all of the gold, right? And it's got the two-tone bracelet and everything. It's really shiny. It's shiny. The dial is a beautiful blue, which is my favorite part of the watch. So I had our friend of the show now, EA8, who I kind of got to know through Two Broke Watch Snobs. I'd been following him on Instagram. Made a gorgeous strap for it. I mean, it's a dark blue with gold stitching on it.
It's perfect.
It's perfect. So I tried it on that, and I felt better with that. But you still got this big gold watch head, right? The gold bezel, and there's a lot of gold on it still. And again, it's not something that, like, why do I can't just wear it around the house, right? And I don't feel comfortable.
Well, I wear my watches around the house.
Well, yeah, but I want to be able to feel comfortable going out of the house, wearing the watch.
And not give off the wrong message, maybe? Like what? So,
yeah,
are we worried about the message? Yeah, are we worried about...
I'm not worried about what people think of me. I'm just... Well, maybe I am. I don't know. I guess I just don't... There is a certain message that goes with that watch, I guess.
Yeah. You're a pretty down-to-earth guy.
I am. I'm very down-to-earth.
And maybe that watch doesn't portray the stereotypical down-to-earth person.
And this is not abnormal. I mean...
It's a sporty watch.
As watch collectors and watch lovers, we all see a watch and just fall head over heels in lust with it. Gotta have it. You buy it and then, for whatever reason, decide it's just not you. It doesn't feel right, doesn't look right, doesn't fit right, whatever the reason might be.
Well, and maybe everyone's opinion of it is totally different.
Of course it is. I mean, and Rolex is very divisive. There's people that love Rolex and there's people that hate Rolex. There's people that don't know anything about watches that buy a Rolex because they get to a certain point in their career and they feel that's what they need to do to show people that they've succeeded, right?
Yeah,
it's kind of like that rite of passage or something into that executive
the destination.
And that's not us. I don't ever want to go into management. It's not something I want to. That's not a vibe I guess I want to put off. So, but we just love the look of Rolex and we love the history and we love the accuracy and we love the quality.
I love the yellow and blue because I'm Swedish and loved that it was the two colors, and I love two-tone silver together. And gold. And
yeah. And it's just not, I don't know. For me, it's just not, I don't know. I guess it's just not me. And
so I guess the moral of the story is you purchase something, you wear it. If it works, it works. And if it doesn't, then you move on, and maybe you sell it, and it's okay because you've lived with it.
Yep.
And as you live with it and own it, then maybe you decide if it's really something that's going to really fit in with your lifestyle.
Yeah. And if it doesn't, especially if it's a more expensive piece like the Rolex, I'm just always thinking, guys, it's just sitting there. Mm-hmm. It's not getting worn. That's a lot of money to have tied up in something that you're not wearing. And for some people, that doesn't matter, right? If you're super wealthy, you can have money tied up and all that stuff. That's whatever, that's fine.
Because it's a great collector piece. That's not the case.
I mean, so that's one we're thinking of selling. And that's one actually that we'll be able to, I was able to get a very good deal on it. So, I'll at least get my money out of it. If not, actually make a little on it, which, is great, but whatever. It'd be nice just to get my money back out of it. Most watches are not that way. I mean, if you sell a watch, you're very likely going to lose money on it. But I don't look at it as losing money. I look at it as you got X amount of dollars worth of enjoyment out of it for that period of time, right? Well,
and when I sold the Christopher Ward, the person we sold it to was so excited about it.
It was one of our local Red Bar members. Yes. He loved it. He was it. It
makes me so happy. It makes me so happy.
And it's funny because he's got bigger wrists than me, and he preferred the 38 over my 43.
And it looked wonderful on him.
It did. It looked really good. The 43 it's a big watch, but I love it. It's a nice size for my wrist.
And just because your wrist diameter is a certain circumference, if you look at your hand versus your arm, it really makes a difference in how it fits. So I kind of learned something with that.
Well, and one of the reasons that we're selling it, I guess it's kind of, we're selling the Christopher Wards, at least for me, when I started thinking about selling my Christopher Ward, and again, you sold yours, I'm going to sell mine, but that's more of a case of wanting to upgrade, because I would really like to have a true GMT that quick adjusts the main hour hand.
Right.
Or something like the Oris. This is terrible. I can't think of the name of it, but it's the new world. I think it's the World Timer, but it's actually got two separate subdials for 2 time zones. Or no, it's got a separate, maybe one. So I don't know. I think it's a separate subdial for a second time zone than the main dial, but it's really cool because you kind of click the bezel. You rotate the bezel, it clicks, and that adjusts the main hour hand. So you get a travel, I guess you call it a traveler's GMT, as opposed to like an office or a desk GMT where you're adjusting the separate GMT hand. So, for us, that's kind of, you've had your eye in the Rolex Explorer 2, the Polar Dial, which is a true traveler's GMT. So that might be something in our future after we sell some pieces. But, so that's kind of why we really looked at selling those.
Or even does Panerai make a GMT?
Panerai makes a GMT, yeah.
And that's a more wearable. Like for me, I love the two-tone as a look, but I'm a country girl, and I'm always in jeans, and I'm always dirty, and
right.
I think for me, something like a stainless steel watch, something like that would be more wearable for me. I find myself wearing the black Rolex Explorer 1 that you surprised me with.
Right.
Black and stainless.
And that's a 36.
That's a 36. It could be, I could wear something larger, but it's just such a simple watch that I find that I wear it more often than other watches.
It's like the Oyster Perpetuals that we have. You have the 34 and I have the 39.
That's almost the same size, with the champagne dial.
Yeah.
That it's just it just blends in with what I'm wearing. It's not something that just stands out, because I'm a kind of a subdued type person.
And that's one of those, if I were to ever go to one watch, that would be a contender, right? Like the Explorer 1 or the Oyster, those would definitely be contenders, especially like my Blue Dial 39 millimeter. That would be a one watch contender if we ever did that, which we won't, but.
Well, and we actually put a reservation in for the Hampton Is it Nanak?
Yeah, Nanak. The day date. So it's got the look of the Rolex Presidential with the full day spelled out on top.
And that's something that would be, they've marketed as a one watch, household watch kind of a thing.
Yeah. And I think it's a 39 or 38 millimeter. So it's great size.
And as a person who does, has a lot of livestock and, both of us could wear that. And
yeah, that could definitely be a watch that we share for sure. So we've talked a lot about selling. Where do you sell? And that's something that I'm still kind of trying to figure out. Right? I know a lot of guys will sell on the forums like Watch You Seek. You run into some issues though if you don't participate in the forums on a regular basis and have a certain amount of posts. A lot of them won't let you post in their classifieds, so you're kind of stuck. Like, how do I sell the watch? But that's probably one of the most popular ways to sell a watch is to put it on a forum in the for sale section, and then you've got apps like Watch Patrol and Watch Recon that go out and crawl those different forums. And just crawl the classified,
which we found watches on
posts.
Those.
Yeah, we found, like, we bought your Monster using, I think I found that on Watch Patrol, and that was a Watch You Seek listing. So you don't necessarily need to post on a Watch You Seek because those will crawl a lot of the different forums. So I'm going to be looking at the forums and posting there. Some people are comfortable with eBay. I don't think that's not for me in terms of selling. I've bought some stuff on eBay, but I don't know if I'll ever sell a watch on eBay.
We've bought a lot of vintage watches on eBay, like my little Seikos that have been like $30, $50 from the 60s and 70s, and that's there's some really reputable sellers.
The Bellmatics, you bought the Seiko Bellmatics.
Oh my gosh, I lucked out on that for like $100.
That was a great buy. The Stellaris that I bought, the transistorized watch, that was at eBay.
The battery powered.
But I don't know if I want to hassle with selling and. So I don't know. That's still up in the air for me on whether
larger
I would list it there.
Items, yeah.
Maybe for a larger. I don't know. That's something to think about. But another place that's growing in popularity is Instagram, because all of us watch freaks. We're all on Instagram. That's where we all share our watches, other. Right? And a lot of people, you start to know people. I've purchased some watches off of Instagram. So
I've gotten leads off Instagram.
You've gotten leads off Instagram. For
sure.
So I'll probably post the Christopher Ward up on Instagram under my Ranch Racer account, for sale, right? Because I think it's a really good place to get items out there that you want to sell from a watch perspective. So that's another good place. And then the other one is there's a lot of places that'll buy watches back from you. Now you're not going to get retail like a used market price that you could get private party. It's like trading in a car, right? If you're going to sell it to a dealer, they need to take a cut because they want to be able to turn it and they want to flip it and make money on it, which I totally understand. And actually that's something else I want to talk about, which was flipping. Drives me nuts. And like, I know Ariel's talked about this on his podcast quite a bit. It's something it's kind of infected the watch industry where, Rolex Daytonas and Patek Philippe Nautilus, and I think it's the Nautilus, maybe it's the Aquanaut, Royal Oak, right? The Audemars Piguet Royal Oak. You get there's this kind of ugly back channel world of watch flipping, and it sucks because, these they're gray market dealers, right? They've got relationships with sales associates and stuff in different stores and boutiques. And, those really rare watches come in, and it's super easy for the sales associate just to sell them right to that gray market dealer. They've got a sale right there. They know they're going to buy it. They'll buy several at a time. And then those guys turn and they flip them for double the cost. And that's created this horrible market it's kind of opposite what the gray market it traditionally is, because the gray market traditionally has been dealers will buy excess stock that
kind of like an overstock.com.
Exactly,
sort of
like a authorized dealer or a wholesaler can't get rid of
Right.
watches.
It's all
they
reputable.
can't get rid of inventory.
Right.
So you've got
And
the
it's
Jonah
bulk.
shops of the
It's
world.
bulk, yeah.
They buy a bunch of it and they sell at a discount because they get such good deals on it.
Right. And
Well,
they're and we love them because they're reputable.
Yeah, but flipping is different. Flipping is when it's basically speculating, right? And like this whole limited edition thing, right? Whether it's an Omega or a limited edition Speedmaster or whatever it is, but people will buy them not because they like them and they want to own it and wear it and love it. They buy it with the express intent of leaving it in that box and flipping it for a profit. And you see that in the high-end car market too, with Ferraris and Lamborghinis and all that kind of stuff. You see it all the time. And
Dealerships.
I think me personally, I think it's really hurting the watch industry. It's giving the watch industry a black eye. I think it's giving the manufacturers a black eye. I don't think they care. I think Rolex is totally content to see their watches flipping for double what the list price is. But for me, I think it
sets a precedent, apparently.
Yeah. And I just think it's unfortunate, right? For people that really love watches, but you've got the sharks in the water that are out there to make a quick buck. And it's too bad. But I wanted to touch on that because that's one of the reasons that I've got here for selling is flipping. And I think it's a really bad reason. So anyway,
our secretary just walked in.
I could hear her walking around.
Hi.
Hey buddy. Oh, you're a good girl. So buying watches.
Did you pause it?
You got the
oh,
lasers?
No, we're good. Yeah, she's
you got
a good
the laser.
I think she has to go to the bathroom.
She has to go. This has happened like 3 times when we recorded a show.
Actually, you want to take a little pause and then
we'll I'm going to
back?
pause it so I can take her out and then we'll come back.
All right.
And we're back. I bet you it felt like we never left, right? And you can hear the screw top
cap
on the wine bottle as we polish that bottle off. So we're talking about buying and selling watches. I think we've talked quite a bit about selling. I'd like to talk a little bit about buying and where do you buy watches, especially for those of you that are just getting into the hobby. It could be kind of daunting to figure out where to buy. Like if you see a watch on Instagram you like, it's like, where the heck do I buy that? And there are many, many different ways to acquire watches. So we'll talk about some of the different categories. Depending on the type of watch you're looking to buy, you might be buying online or you might be buying locally at a jewelry store. So that's one of the first categories that I wanted to touch on is authorized dealers. So, if you've been in the watch collecting gig for a while, you've heard the term AD. All that means is authorized dealer. It just means that dealer is authorized to purchase either direct from a brand or from a wholesaler that the brand sells to. So authorized dealers, for the most part, they're normally like jewelry stores, like chain jewelry stores that happen to carry, a couple of watch brands, maybe 3 or 4, depending on the size of the jewelry store. And they could range from Seikos to Rolex and even higher. So that's kind of the first category within authorized dealers is just the chain jewelry stores that you see in the mall and,
or your private, your local jewelers, like our local,
absolutely.
In our
Any
little
jewelry
town,
store, yeah.
They're authorized Seiko.
Yep.
And they're actually recently authorized as Rolex resellers. So definitely check out
Really?
yes, our local.
What does that mean?
They are authorized to resell used Rolexes.
I didn't realize you had to be authorized to. That's
apparently
interesting.
you do. Apparently you do.
I'm going to have to go talk to them
I'm
about
surprised,
that.
I'm surprised that I've mentioned it to you, but maybe you were.
Maybe I didn't remember, but I didn't realize
maybe you weren't listening to me.
I always listen to you.
Of course you do.
I guess I didn't realize that's news to me that you had to be authorized to resell Rolexes.
Yes. They're an authorized Rolex reseller.
So
of
where do
used
they
Rolex.
get the watches? They take them on trade?
I don't know. I guess we should probably.
Let's find out more about that.
Yeah,
let's
talk
that's a new
to them.
one on me. I'd love to find out more about that. But yes, it can be a small it could totally be a small town, local jeweler. But my point is their main focus is on jewelry, and they've got a case or two of watches.
Right. But I have to say, our local jeweler has an amazing Seiko. That's their main. They're an authorized dealer for Seiko, and they have
a small selection.
Pretty much.
They carry like the popular ones, like the Cocktail Time, and they carry like the Pepsi Dial.
They had everything I was looking
Prospects,
for.
the Turtle and stuff. But I think that's the local jewelers. Sometimes they'll be more knowledgeable. If you go to like a chain jewelry store, you find very little watch knowledge in those places. Very little.
Right.
And again, it depends on where you're going. But a lot of these, we'll be in the mall and we walk in and we like ask a question on a Seiko that we already know about.
And they don't know the difference between a quartz and
they don't
automatic.
even know what movement's in it, right? They're clueless. That's pretty typical because a lot of them are, this is a job that could be a first job out of high school or in high school or college or whatever, but not a lot of knowledge. The next level of authorized dealer are like the watch mega stores, right? And examples of this would be Torno or Watches of Switzerland or Tourbillon.
You have to be in a really large city to go to that, though.
Yeah, you're not going to find them in podunk towns, country towns like ours, but you go to Vegas, you'll find them all. San Francisco's got a Tourbillon. They might have they have a Torno as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can I go back to little podunk towns like ours?
Of course you can.
So I have some friends and listeners who are in podunk towns, which we love, and I think as authorized dealers, they may be a little bit, more towards retail prices for their watches.
Yep. They don't buy in big quantities.
However, they are going to meet your needs on buying extra things like straps. And when they have sales, let me tell you, 50% off sales they've had at our store where we picked up our Seiko tuna. So you really have to, get a relationship with your local jeweler because as authorized dealers, they're really going to be connected and they're going to have inventory that they want to move.
Well, and they'll call us like the day before and they'll say, come on in the morning, get here early because we got 50% off on Seiko all day, right? Which is odd. That's a big discount on Seiko watches. But yeah, so if you've got a little jewelry store in town and they sell watches, definitely, get
Make
to know them
and
and they will take care of you. At least ours does. So, it's a little bit different in the big mega stores, but we met a gal that was just amazing when we bought our watches from Torno in Vegas.
Ms. Christine.
Yeah, and you can get some good discounts in the larger stores because the last category of authorized dealers is not even really an authorized dealer; it's a boutique, and that's like our local Omega boutique. Omega owns those. Right, they're basically selling direct to the public, and it's cool because you get to see all of they've got a great selection of their brand, but you're gonna get less of a discount at those places, and I think a lot of that just revolves around the fact that the brands are trying to maintain a certain image, and if they start steeply discounting their watches, that from their perspective, that's going to have a negative connotation on their brand value. Whereas if you buy from a local jewelry store or Torno or Tourbillon or one of those larger places, you're usually going to get a better discount, right? They don't have the restrictions that the boutiques have because the boutiques are owned by the brands. They're usually a couple steps away from the brands because most of the time they're going to buy from a wholesaler. And you can also establish great relationships with those folks. I mean, I've gotten to know Rob at Topper Jewelers. Topper is very well known throughout the watch community, regardless of where you live. They're here in the Bay Area, and they carry everything from...
Well, out there in the Bay Area.
Out there in the Bay Area. They carry everything from
We're not
Casio
in the Bay Area.
G-Shocks, basic entry-level Casio G-Shocks, and they carry Philip Stein, all the way up to Glashütte Original and Omega and Blancpain, Grand Seiko, right? It runs the gamut in there. So whether your budget is $200 or $20,000, a place like Topper can take care of you. And they're, Rob's awesome. Love going in there. They do all kinds of events. They partner with a Bay Area watch collecting group. And so that's an example of just a wonderful AD that carries a lot of different watches. An entire half the store is dedicated to watches. So it's not like your typical chain jewelry store that has a little case of a couple different brands. I mean, they're very dedicated to watches, and it shows. So that's one way to buy, is you buy from an authorized dealer or a boutique. Again, in the boutique, don't go asking for a 40% discount or a 20% discount or even a 10% discount. You might get a couple percent, off of a watch, but they are very limited in what they can do. Of course, you're going to get that factory. A lot of people, it's important to them. They want to have that relationship directly with the brand. They want to know they're buying directly from the brand. They can take it there for service. So there's a lot of upside to it as well. And actually, our Tourneau gal has moved to Omega.
She has.
Brand
Omega
new
and Breitling.
Omega. Yeah, Omega and Breitling boutique.
At the Wynn.
At the Wynn. So we'll see her in January.
Hopefully.
That could be dangerous. Especially if we sell some watches before we go.
So now if someone purchases a watch, let's say on the gray market, like you go on Joma Shop and buy, and I'm not advocating Joma Shop. I'm just talking like realistically.
Everyone knows about Joma Shop.
If someone purchases a watch like a Rolex or a Breitling or a Omega or whatever brand, if they buy it on Joma Shop and they have problems with it, is it, within a certain amount of time, I'm sure it's covered from the Joma Shop warranty.
So that,
correct. And then after that, if you want to get it maintained, can you take it to your local watchmaker? I'm just doing a scenario.
So you can.
Like for your regular maintenance, where would you say that you would take it to? Would you take it to an Omega specifically? Like if you have let's say a Speedmaster, would you take it to an Omega dealership, AD, for maintenance, or would you take it to your local?
So
like your local small town, like we have a small town, fantastic watch person. Would I take my Omega there? Would I take it to, like, what's your advice?
So the answer is yes.
Yes, what?
The answer is just yes.
Yes, everything.
So that's a good lead into where else you can buy, which is gray market. And like I said, gray market is usually these gray market dealers will buy excess inventory from retailers, from authorized dealers that can't unload inventory, from wholesalers that sit between the manufacturer and the authorized dealers. They'll buy up the stock at really heavy discounts and then sell at a discount.
But I'm talking about maintenance.
I know we're getting there. So that's great, right? So you get, and I'll say it, we've bought some awesome watches through the gray market. A lot of people look at the gray market as high risk. That can be true depending on where you buy from, but there are some larger, I think, like I said, Joma Shop is probably the biggest when it comes to gray market, at least in the US. I don't know about other countries, but Joma Shop is a very large online gray market dealer. They have a good selection, and what you don't get,
very legitimate, good people.
They are legitimate. What you don't get is you don't get the factory warranty, and it's important to understand that. So, like Omega, for instance, just went from 2-year to a 5-year warranty on all their watches, which is awesome, right? They just announced that last week, and if you buy one of their new watches on the gray market, you will not get that factory 5-year warranty. Now, depending on where you buy from, if you buy from a Joma Shop, they have watchmakers watch technicians. They have watch technicians on site. You get a warranty from Joma Shop. So if you have a problem with it, you send it to Joma Shop back east. I think they're in New York.
New Jersey.
Thank you, New Jersey. And yeah, they're somewhere over on the other side of this country. And I don't know that other side of this country very well.
I do.
I've been to Florida, and that's Jersey. It. So anyway, you send it to them. It's covered under warranty for a couple of years, whatever. Now, after that period, whether you buy from an authorized dealer and you have the warranty coverage done through them, it doesn't have to be through that dealer. You can go to any authorized dealer that sells that brand. to have it covered under warranty. With the gray market, you have to sell it. You have to send it to the gray market dealer that you bought it from, and they will service it. So once that warranty is up, the answer to your question is you can take it to a boutique, a local boutique. You can take it to an authorized dealer, or you can take it to a local watchmaker that just does watch repair, right? If they service that brand. And most watchmakers will have a list of brands that they service, and there'll be some brands that they don't service. But pretty much for all the brands that we care about and talk about on the show, you can go to a local watchmaker and they can service it. Sometimes, like if you buy Grand Seiko, for instance, that goes back to Grand Seiko for service. If it's a spring drive, because it's a very particular movement, very particular pieces. One thing to be aware of is that in certain instances, local watchmakers are unable to buy factory parts. And that's a big contentious issue in the watch industry right now. So the watch manufacturers in that case are forcing you to go through their authorized dealers, and they're forcing you to go through their service, which is kind of like taking your car to a dealership versus a local mechanic. Dealership's always more expensive. So pretty much in every case, if you go through an authorized dealer or a boutique to have your watch serviced for that manufacturer, it's going to cost you more, right? So it's just something to be aware of. And again, it's a very contentious issue because there's a lot of great watchmakers out there that could easily repair your Omega or your Rolex or whatever it is, but they're unable to get the factory parts to fix your watch for you, so they can't do it.
Well, I know that our local jeweler couldn't get parts for my watch that was a Japanese release.
And they're a Seiko dealer.
And they're
but because it was a JDM,
they're authorized.
it's a Japanese domestic market watch. They couldn't get parts for it,
which I don't understand. It's like we have the internet, we have everyone,
and that's why it's ridiculous. I think it's stupid that the
just doesn't make sense.
Manufacturers won't. It's like these people want to buy the parts from you so they can service your watches. Why not sell them to them? So that's I think it's stupid personally. I mean, I think if you're a watchmaker, if you're a certified watchmaker and you want to repair a certain brand, you should be able to buy the parts for it. But a lot of the brands require you to go through their training, which is expensive, become certified with their watches before you can service them. So that's what creates kind of that issue. But for the most part, if we're talking about a Seiko, take it anywhere, right? Pretty much anyone can service an NH35 or an ETA 2824 or a Solita.
Our local AD can actually, their prices are really good for doing a service on a full restoration on, even a vintage watch.
Oh yeah, for sure. Prices are all over the book. I mean, well, in another place for service, I know we're kind of off topic, but
we're just babbling on.
There's a lot of guys on Instagram that'll do service for you, right? Whether it's like Terry at Toxic NATOs, you could send your watch to him, and he works with the local watchmaker. Buying on Time, who we've purchased watches from, there's some service that can be done there. So there's you can find outlets for service on Instagram too. I guess is my point. So that kind of leads me into the last area of purchasing watches, which is online. And
the dog just barked.
I don't know what the dog's barking about.
She's upset.
She's upset about something.
And we do have a life here, so
yeah. So let's quickly talk about online. So for us and for a lot of our listeners, going online is a great place to buy watches. Especially if you're looking at buying a micro brand. You really can't go into a store and buy a micro brand, right? And we've talked about micro brands in the past. You got to buy it online, whether it's a Kickstarter campaign or direct from the micro brand's website. But more and more large manufacturers are getting into online sales. It's taking the Swiss market a long time to be dragged into the present, but you look at an Omega, you can buy Omega watches online now. So you're not going to get a discount. You're going to pay MSRP, right? Or if they have a sale, whatever. But you can buy Omegas. You can buy, I'm trying to think if Blancpain might sell online. Rolex does not sell online. You still have to go through authorized dealers for Rolex or Rolex boutiques. But online is growing in popularity, and there are a lot of sites that are now authorized dealers for some of the higher end brands. And I won't go into what sites those are, but you can go out and find them. It's pretty easy. So online is slowly starting to gain some traction. And it's actually like Amazon and eBay have been popular places online to buy watches for a long time. So
especially for like Seiko 5 and...
Well, you can buy Rolexes on Amazon, believe it or not, because some dealers sell through Amazon, right? It's not necessarily Amazon having stuff in their factories or their big warehouses, although they do. Like they'll have Amazon Prime deals on Seikos and Citizens and that kind of stuff. But yeah, you can buy Omegas and Rolexes, all kinds of stuff on Amazon. eBay, buyer beware, I guess, right? You just never know.
You and I have been burned on eBay.
We've been burned on eBay. We've had great experiences on eBay. But you just, it's one of those things. You just don't ever know. So while it is a great place to find those pieces, maybe you can't find elsewhere, especially if it's like a hard to find vintage piece, just be careful. I mean, there's Franken watches out there. There's complete fakes. There's all kinds of stuff. And there's a lot of bad actors out there. So just be very careful. It's very much a buyer beware on eBay. You really got to know what you're looking at and what you're looking for. And make sure that you're able to return it if you have to. I mean, there's some things that you can take advantage of through eBay if there's disputes and stuff, but it can get ugly. I mean, we bought a car on eBay years ago that was just a total nightmare. So you can get burned. Just be careful. But Amazon is a great place because you're buying new stuff on Amazon. So
right, especially when you're looking at things like buying a Seiko. Any Seiko watch on eBay is probably, or not, I'm sorry,
Amazon. Yeah.
Is really very approved and Amazon approved because the Seiko 5 is like one of my favorite watches ever.
Well, and if you're buying a Seiko on Amazon Prime, like it's coming out of their warehouse, they're an authorized dealer actually of Seiko.
Yeah.
And I think of Citizen too. So that's a very good place to find deals. On some of the less expensive or medium price brands for sure. I wouldn't buy a Rolex or a, Omega or something on Amazon, I don't think, but certainly for some of the more affordable brands for sure. And even some of the micro brands you can find on Amazon now. So yeah, so it's a good place, but that was the last thing I wanted to talk about in buying was online. I think we mostly covered it. So yeah. I don't know. Anything else?
No, just that I have to go feed the dog.
No, I fed the dog. The dog's
been
you
fed.
Did? She's good.
She's been asking for more dinner.
She's working you.
Well, this horrible
Dad
time
fed
change.
her, and now she's going to mom.
The time change, it's like...
I know. It's ridiculous. It's, what is it, 6 o'clock and it's pitch black.
It feels
out,
like
so
10.
It feels late, but... So anyway, that's what we had to talk about today. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. As always, we ask if you can, please, give us a rating on iTunes or wherever you're listening to us. Let us know what you think of the show. Interact with us on Instagram. We've let you guys know our feelings on Instagram. We don't like it. We do it as a necessary evil, but it's frustrating. We know we're not getting out.
It's not like we don't like it, but
it's just frustrating.
We've had a lot of issues with it.
We have, and we know that we're not getting out in front of nearly enough people. So we rely on you guys to pass the word. If you like the show, please let other people know. Let folks know on Instagram. That reminds me. Tag us on Instagram or use the Love and Watches hashtag because we have started regrams. We're looking for really nice photos that we can regram every Friday. So we've got a few people that have started to tag us and use the Love and Watches hashtag. But if you want to be regrammed on a Friday, definitely just throw our tag in there or tag us or throw our hashtag in there or both. We like them both. So And there might be a little surprise for you guys that are getting regrammed. There might actually be something in it for you. So make sure you're tagging us, because if we do repost one of your posts on Instagram, there might be some additional fun and cool stuff coming down the road. So
little reward.
Yeah. So definitely, there's some incentive for you to do it. So please tag us. I know a lot of you guys found us on Instagram. If you're not on Instagram, please hop on there and follow us at Love and Watches. We do have a Facebook page. We don't really maintain it. I haven't done much for it.
I haven't looked at it in months.
Yeah, I mean, I've got it set up to auto post. When I update the website, it throws the posts over on Facebook. I haven't done a whole lot there. We do have a YouTube channel that we're starting to put more effort into, and as a matter of fact, I think I'm going to put a review up tomorrow. So definitely go check us out on YouTube. Just search for Love and Watches. We're out there. And we'll probably start doing some fun stuff with the YouTube channel as well. That's actually really fun to record videos and watch reviews and stuff for you guys. So definitely go follow Love and Watches on YouTube. We'll remind you via Instagram as well. So I think that's it. That's my sales pitch for the podcast. Anything else before we sign off?
No, I'm good.
Awesome. Well, everyone, watch guys and watch gals, thank you very much for joining us for episode 14 of the Love and Watches podcast. This is Ranch Racer.
And Perpetual Girl, and love what you buy and buy what you love.
And we will see you guys for episode 15. Thanks.